All right, welcome back. I've had a few people asking me where I'm at on this air ride project on my cab over, so I thought I would do a quick little update. I've been out here for about a week welding all the sub-assemblies together and tinkering with a little bit of the frame today, so thought I'd show everybody kind of where I'm at right now and what's next. So for those that have been following along, some of you have probably seen a lot of this. These are the bag brackets for the rear airbag, front and rear airbags. These are go on top of the bags, and these will be mounted to the frame. That's the rear axle brackets for the airbags. So that'll set the bags behind the frame. This is where this probably make a little more sense with it assembled. These are the front axle brackets. These are going to mount on top of the axle right where the leaf springs go. I matched the whole pattern to the standard U-bolts. I'm still running a centering pin just like a leaf spring. But these will sit on top of the axle and they're going to drop behind the axle. That hole's going to be where the shock pin goes. I still have to put that in. Link bars are going to mount here and here, and the actual steering linkage goes in between the link bars, so it'll straddle the steering. These are the front airbag brackets. Similar to the axle brackets, I matched the whole pattern for where the U-bolts where the leaf springs would normally go. The beam, the I-beam's going to sit in this slot. So this will wrap around the actual axle beam. So between this bracket and this bracket, the front I-beam axle will be completely surrounded and should make it pretty rigid. These are the front axle brackets, or the front frame brackets for the 4-link. The way I've got these designed is this whole pattern here and the whole pattern here will mount where the rear spring hanger is on the frame. Hopefully that'll be just a bolt in place. Remove the spring hanger off the back of the front leaf, and that should go right in its place. Of course, link bars mount in here. That's the cross member that's going to run between the rear frame brackets, and this will mount in the bottom of it. This area here is going to wrap around the drive shaft, so that's not only is that going to stiffen the rear frame brackets up, but it's going to act like a drive shaft loop. The holes in it serve no purpose other than just so that it give it a little bit of character and let the air flow through it, since it'll be hanging below the frame. These are the front panhard bar brackets. They end up, I still have to weld them in. They're going to mount underneath the one airbag bracket for the front panhard bar. Front panhard bar will be ahead of the axle, like the airbags. This morning, I came out and knocked off the hangers for the rear leaf springs, pulled leaf springs, punched all the rivets out so that I could start trying to get some stuff mounted. There's the front, the rear axle bracket, the rear frame hangers. I've got it set. These are going to be bolt-on. A lot of people weld them. I wanted it to be a bolt-on similar to, what the leaf springs were. And that way, if I ever have a problem, I can remove them to do any kind of repairs without having to cut things off the frame. I was trying not to weld to the frame as much as possible. That cross member that you saw is going to run from the driver's side bracket to the passenger side up over the drive shaft, and it'll actually be below the frame. That'll all be one unit that gets bolted in as a single piece. Kind of overkill, but you know, it's a truck. I kind of wanted it to be that way. So there'll be a cross member here below the frame, factory cross member here on top, another factory cross member here on top. So it'll kind of be triangulated where the link bars mount. There'll be another cross member added here just behind the axle. That'll be above the airbags. And panhard bar going to run from the frame here over to the axle, just ahead of the axle center line. It'll give me a little bit more clearance as it when the suspension dumps, rather than keeping it centered. You know, axle brackets, nothing fancy there, just typical 4-link. The big thing is from all my research, the way I've got this designed, this is pretty much ride height. My link bars are parallel with the ground. The way I designed it is my airbags have a 6-inch stroke. So this makes these link bars, they're also parallel with the ground at half travel. So when I dump the air, this is going to drop about 3 inches, maybe 3.5, but I can also raise it about 3 inches higher than what it's sitting at right now. Hopefully that'll all work out real nice. Got the pinion angle set. Right now, with the way the frame's sitting, it's sitting on blocks on the ground, so measured the drive shaft or the transmission angle. It points down 3 degrees going backwards, so I've got the pinion angle in the back pointing up 3 degrees to keep everything parallel. So that's all set. I marked all my holes for this bracket, so I'm gonna probably tomorrow I'll start drilling the holes in the frame so I can get these mounted. That way I can trim the cross member and get it fit in between. Try to get that all set up. But that's kind of where we're at right now. I haven't done anything to the front yet. It's still sitting on blocks. Leaf springs are still in the front. I haven't touched it yet. I wanted to get the back done since the axle's exactly where it needs to be, and then I'll set the front axle off the back for the wheelbase and that. And so the front's adjustable anyway. So that's kind of where we're at. I still have some brackets to make. I got to make panhard bar brackets for the back for the axle and the frame. I've got to make the front panhard bar bracket that mounts to the frame. I have the one for the axle, so I got to make those. Nothing major. So, but that's kind of where we're at. So hopefully probably by next weekend, I should have the rear axle all mounted in place. Maybe even have the airbags in it, or at least the brackets put on, and maybe a cross member put in. So I want to get the back all done before I even tackle the front. But so we'll see where that goes. So I'll try to post some more videos as little more progress as I go along. Try to do it a little more frequently since I've got people asking what I'm actually doing with this thing. So stay tuned. Appreciate anybody watching, and stay tuned for future videos, and we'll see where we end up.